जय गुरुजी को प्रणाम, गुरुजी की संगत को प्रणाम, शुक्राना गुरुजी. So some of you may know my parents in the Sangat, and Guruji had blessed them with the opportunity to host weekly satsangs in Freehold, New Jersey for the past, I would say, 8.5 years. But for the past year or so, we were really looking to wind down the satsangs because my mom was going through a series of health problems that Guruji was helping her through. But every time we tried to move forward with that decision, what we thought was our decision, to close down the satsangs, my mom would get a message from someplace. And she would interpret that as Guruji's will, saying that this seva must continue. This is your blessing. And incidentally, one day I also had a dream where Guruji appeared and my mom was getting him ready for the satsang. And so I woke up and I said, I think he wants this to continue, and that's exactly what happened. But then one day, abruptly, overnight, the satsangs in Freehold, New Jersey stopped. And the reason is because my mom was diagnosed with a malignancy. And what I learned from this is that without Guruji's will, nothing can start, nothing can stop. And she's okay. Thankfully, her cancer was curable. But I will tell you that, there are some very human moments. She gets low, she gets fatigued from the side effects of the medication, and it's not that easy. But we try to focus on the bigger truth over here. The bigger reality is how Guruji cradled us through this turbulence. And more miraculously, I thought, he revealed that he was orchestrating this outcome, a positive outcome, through a series of dreams that he was giving in parallel to her medical treatment. So he let us know that, hey, it's me, and it could have been a lot worse. So back in March, just a few months ago, she had gone for a routine scan. And the radiologist came out and he said, hey, it looks like cancer, but you're going to need a biopsy to confirm it. So that night, I called up everyone and I said, pray, 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 because we are at an inflection point. And that evening, I sat in the satsang and I was making khara prasad, which I don't normally do. And I thought I saw a huge face of Guruji's in the prasad. So I took a picture and I set it aside. And then I was listening to the shabads and Guruji's face came in the playlist. And then all of a sudden in big block letters, it said Lifeline. So I took a picture and I set it aside and I just thought, it's probably wishful thinking. It's just me trying to connect the dots that probably don't need to be connected. And we moved on. Now, my mom still had to get the biopsy. But Guruji sirf messages nahi dete, practical karke bhi dikhate hain. So in Freehold, it was taking about 3 weeks to get a date for the biopsy, which is really delayed. But my sister and my brother-in-law are also physicians, and they were able to bring my mom into their network, and she started treatment within 3 days. So shukrana Guruji. And so she went for her biopsy, and the radiologist came out and said, yep, it's cancer. And you have 2 things. One is cancerous, one is precancerous. Both have to come out. So I went home, and then, as I had mentioned, Guruji started to come in some dreams. And in the first dream that I'll share with you, I saw that my daughter and I are in a satsang, and Guruji comes up, and he holds in his palm 4 black balls, like Kali Mirch. And he says to me in a very hurried way, he says, I told her she had to eat these during the satsang. So I wake up in the morning and I tell my mom, hey, he showed these things. And mom said, but I only have 2 things that need to be addressed. But sure enough, a few days later, she had additional imaging, and they revealed that 2 more things had to come out for a total of 4 that tallied with the black balls that Guruji was showing. So Shukrana Guruji, even though it turned out to be a much bigger thing, at least he showed us the scope and it could be addressed timely. So we started to proceed with the, all the due diligence, the medical due diligence. And the next prayer was, I hope it's not an aggressive cancer, Guruji. I hope her oncotype score, which indicates the level of aggressiveness of the cancer, is low. Low is good. And pray, pray, pray. And then again, Guruji came. And Guruji was being propped up by Rajita Aunty, one of the Sangat members from Freehold. And he was coughing, and he was feeble, and he was elderly. And in the dream, I can hear myself talking to him, and I'm saying, Guruji, I hope your Anka type score is low. And he responds, he says, quote, why do you hope when I am the gifter of good health? And then I woke up and I said, okay. Again, I thought maybe these are just this wishful thinking, just projection of my mind, I don't know. Kept going through the process, and now the next hurdle was, will she need chemotherapy or not? And I was saying to Guruji, she's already been through so much the past couple years. She's already weakened. It would be really, really devastating for her to go through chemotherapy for all of us. And again, through a series of dreams, different dreams every day, in one dream I saw that Guruji had a shaved head. In the next dream I saw that Guruji was a blended version of himself and my mom in my mom's nightgown, and he was just pacing back and forth, and he looked pretty broken. And the third dream I saw that he was sitting on his singhasan and someone was pressing his hands, but his eyes were bulging out, and he had the same fear in his eyes that I've seen in my mom's eyes when she's frightened. So although it was Guruji I was seeing, I knew that it was tallying with my mom. And then, so I told mom, and I presented the summation of those dreams to her. And so she said, it looks like Guruji is taking the chemotherapy on himself. And while she was grateful, she was also heartbroken that our Guruji would have to suffer it all, let alone for her. Well, we went through this for a few weeks, and then ultimately, one morning on a weekend, Guruji came in the dream again, and he showed me the sign, A-OK. And shortly thereafter, the results came in. Her Anka type score was low. She did not need chemotherapy in her treatment. And I can't thank you enough, Guruji. And so I have to tell you that, as nice as it felt, as joyous as it felt to have these divine dreams, it's really hard to share it in this group because it sounds so incredulous, and but at the same time, I think, well, that's the essence of him. He's dimensionless, he transcends boundaries, rationale, and Guruji, you really are Tera Ant Na Jana. So he still showed his grace, not just through dreams, but practical measures. She got timely help, my mom. And there was so much love that flowed from him to her through the Sangat. So many of you prayed for her, and I'm so grateful to you. And I have to say a special thanks to Aarti Aunty because, she really emotionally escorted us through the process. And I remember she was going to India, and I was texting her, and she was, I was like, oh, this is where we are. And incidentally, my sister-in-law, who's 48, is going through the same thing. I just found out. I said, "Aap ja rahe ho, please pray." And she did pray, and Guruji heard her prayers, all of your prayers, and my sister-in-law's Anka type score was so low, like even the doctors were crying because they had never seen something so low. So both of them turned out to be okay. So thank you again, Guruji. Shukrana for everything. And all I can pray is that may your grace, aapki meher, aapka love be showered on your Sangat eternally. Thank you for being our Guru, and please never let go.